In the hushed corridors of the Palace of Madrid, the royal physician found himself standing before Queen Regent Maria Cristina, his heart pounding with anticipation and dread. She had summoned him, as was his duty, but the task she presented tested not just his skills, but his very grip on reality. King Ferdinand VII of Spain was dead, yet his legacy continued to haunt the physician. Queen Regent Maria Cristina, her eyes wet with tears and her voice trembling, made a request so unthinkable that it felt as though the room itself had grown colder. The physician was asked to preserve something singular, something that had defined Ferdinand's tumultuous reign as much as his cruelty or paranoia. Approaching the bed where Ferdinand's lifeless body lay, silk sheets draped in morbid elegance, the physician's hands quivered. Not at the sight of the deceased monarch, but at the anatomical anomaly beneath those sheets. Ferdinand was rumored to possess a grotesquely oversized endowment, whispered about in quieter corners of history, but never officially documented, a bizarre emblem of both his shame and pride. As the physician prepared to preserve this peculiar piece, his mind drifted to the stories that echoed through the palace halls. Tales of custom-made cushions, anguished attempts to fulfill royal duties, and a tragic legacy of fruitless endeavors to secure an heir. It was more than just preserving flesh. It was capturing in tangible form the deformed excesses of a reign that had inflicted ruin upon those who came into its sphere. To fully understand Ferdinand VII, one must first delve into the history that forged him, a lineage tainted by royal inbreeding. The interconnected unions of the Spanish Habsburgs and Bourbons had sown seeds of madness and deformity over generations. Born in 1784 at El Escorial Palace, Ferdinand was the product of these toxic ties, his parents' cousins doomed to perpetuate a genetic curse. As he matured, Ferdinand's physical anomaly became a whispered horror among court physicians. His adolescence was marked by growth that defied medical reasoning, a phallus so immense and irregular that it seemed alien. Hidden archives, nestled within Vatican vaults, spoke of his condition with a mix of clinical analysis and palpable dread. The psychological weight of this affliction left lasting scars. In a world that lauded Grecian ideals, where refinement was often associated with the diminutive and delicate, Ferdinand's abnormality ostracized him, branding him as monstrous. What some might covet was, for him, a shackle of shame, influencing his path into tyranny. His father's passivity and his mother's brazen infidelity with Manuel de Godoy, Spain's true ruler in all but name, showed young Ferdinand the machinations of power. Yet it was his own peculiar condition that colored his views and actions most intensely. The court was a hive of whispers, with sly jests and smug glances aimed at the Spanish embarrassment. Ferdinand internalized these laughs and sneers, cultivating a paranoia that would bleed into his governance. Courtiers, diplomats, even potential brides seemed to mock him, real or imagined. As adolescence gave way to adulthood, Ferdinand's behavior grew mercurial, secretive and cruel. Punishments meted out to those who stumbled upon his shame were severe. One chilling account spoke of a young page who inadvertently saw him in perilous disarray, punished by flogging and expulsion from the city. This grotesque quest for preservation in the dead monarch's chambers demanded more of the physician than mere medical expertise. It asked him to touch the core of a blighted reign, capturing in grotesque solidarity the misshapen truths of a monarchy buckling under the weight of its own morbid legacy. As Ferdinand reached marriageable age, the full extent of his anatomical challenge became evident. Dr. Francisco Flores, the king's physician, left secret notes describing the issue. His Majesty's organ presents an unusual configuration, narrow as a thumb at the base, yet expanding to unnatural girth. Its length exceeds any known human specimen, nearing 10 inches in its natural state, with peculiar curvature and extraneous tissue growths of no clear function. Normal intimacy was impossible without specialized equipment. Royal craftsmen were tasked with creating marital aids, custom cushions, and supports to enable Ferdinand to function sexually without harming his wives. Yet the physical challenges were only half the problem. Ferdinand's condition fueled a psychological obsession with potions and elixirs, promising to normalize his anatomy or boost fertility. Court alchemists and foreign doctors, peddling ground rhinoceros horn, powdered pearls, and rare herbs, swindled the prince with useless remedies. In 1802, Ferdinand married his first cousin, Princess Maria Antonia of Naples and Sicily. She arrived in Madrid with romantic dreams, unaware of the nightmare awaiting her. The wedding was a grand affair, the cathedral ringing with music, the streets alive with celebration. But the wedding night was a disaster. Ferdinand's valet requested special preparations for the bridal chamber, cushions, oils, and medical implements that baffled Maria Antonia's sheltered ladies-in-waiting. When Ferdinand revealed himself, Maria Antonia screamed, calling him a monster. His member, described as a club with a thin handle, its bizarre shape and growths terrifying her. What followed was less lovemaking than a medical procedure, with physicians guiding a traumatized princess through a process aided by custom pillows and sedatives like laudanum. The ordeal left both partners scarred, Ferdinand's paranoia deepened by her revulsion, while Maria Antonia developed severe trauma, becoming addicted to laudanum to cope. Their attempts to produce an heir became a ritualized nightmare. Physicians prepared the chamber with equipment. Maria Antonia was dosed to compliance, and the act was performed with clinical precision. No pregnancy resulted. Ferdinand, convinced her disgust prevented conception, resorted to bizarre measures, restraints to hold her in place, astrological timing, even consulting mystics who claimed his dragon's rod was a divine gift requiring special rituals. Twice, Maria Antonia conceived, sparking hope, but both pregnancies ended in miscarriage, one at 4 months, the other near term, nearly killing her. Her body, battered by trauma, couldn't sustain a child. By 1807, at age 21, Maria Antonia died of despair, her laudanum addiction and psychological torment overwhelming her. Rumors swirled that Ferdinand poisoned her, fueled by the mysterious death of the palace apothecary, whose cryptic letter vanished. Ferdinand's relief at her death was palpable. Within weeks, he sought a second wife, targeting women with proven fertility. His physicians experimented with new marital aids and surgical techniques to make intimacy less traumatic. By 1807, Ferdinand's cruelty was evident. He punished servants who glimpsed him, exiled guards for minor lapses, and maintained lists of mockers for future revenge. His involvement in the 1807 El Escorial conspiracy to overthrow his father revealed his cowardice. When caught, he betrayed his allies, naming names to save himself. Napoleon's 1808 invasion forced Ferdinand's abdication, and his captivity in France exposed his condition to French physicians, who studied it with brutal curiosity. Their reports, later found in Napoleonic archives, described an organ like a mythological creature's. Meanwhile, Ferdinand wrote to European royalty, seeking brides willing to endure his special circumstances. Upon his 1814 return to Spain, greeted by adoring crowds, his focus wasn't governance, but finding a new wife. His second marriage, to Maria Isabel of Portugal in 1816 repeated the horrors of the first. Despite elaborate preparations, the wedding night was a nightmare of screams and broken furniture. Isabel developed trauma responses, a stutter, flinches, nightmares of a monster. In the early years of Ferdinand's reign in Spain, the nation's decline accelerated under his misrule. The American colonies, sensing weakness, revolted against his leadership. They saw his impotence as a manifestation of divine judgment. Ferdinand responded with purges that specifically targeted those who spread rumors, while reinstating the feared Inquisition, which hunted down those accused of sexual slander. His obsession with secrecy led to the construction of hidden passages within his palace and strategic placements of mirrors, designed for spying on those who discussed palace gossip. Tragedy struck Ferdinand's personal life in 1818 when his wife, Isabel, died from what was described as nervous exhaustion. This condition, which had lasted 2 years, was rumored to be worsened by self-harm. Ferdinand remained unmoved by his loss and immediately sought another wife. In 1819, Ferdinand married Maria Josepha Amalia of Saxony. A pragmatic woman, Josepha approached the marriage with clinical detachment, even bringing her own medical devices along with her. Despite her best efforts, Ferdinand's debilitating condition continued unabated. After a decade without offspring, she astonishingly became pregnant in 1829. But joy turned to despair when her premature labor resulted in the death of her child, and soon afterward, Josepha herself passed away. Ferdinand's refusal to accept this reality led to grotesque and futile attempts to revive them both, delaying their burials by several days. Ferdinand's fourth marriage to Maria Cristina of Naples took place in 1829. It quickly became a charade, as she was already carrying a child fathered by another man. The daughter born from this union, Isabella II, was acknowledged as his heir despite the clear illegitimacy. Ferdinand's remaining years were consumed by paranoia, focusing obsessively on spying on Maria Cristina, executing midnight raids, and obsessively scrutinizing Isabella's paternity. During this time, Spain continued to disintegrate as Ferdinand squandered the nation's resources on extravagant security measures and sexual aids meant to combat his inadequacies. By 1833, the stress of his paranoia and unhealthy lifestyle took a toll, resulting in his death from exhaustion. His body, upon examination, showed scars from desperate attempts he made to alter his anatomy. The autopsy, which was sealed within the Vatican archives, revealed the shocking facts of his condition: a 14-inch organ, monstrously misshaped and scarred. Ferdinand's reign was marked by both personal and political dysfunction, leaving Spain fractured and damaged. Isabella II inherited a weakened and splintered kingdom. Ferdinand's reign stands as a cautionary tale of how personal failings can lead to public disaster, a stark reminder that unchecked power in the hands of a flawed individual can have devastating consequences. As the physician bearing witness to his anatomical legacy, you see not just a medical oddity, but a monument to shame, corruption, and squandered potential, a king whose intimate failures reverberated through history, leaving Spain as broken as the body beneath the silk sheets.